The first lesson Heath Ledger's Joker taught us is that chaos reveals truth. When he said, introduce a little anarchy, upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos, he wasn't just taunting Batman, he was speaking to us. The Joker showed that when order breaks down, when the rules we depend on collapse, people show who they truly are. He forced Gotham to face its hypocrisy, to see that beneath their civility lay fear, greed, and desperation. And as disturbing as it was, he wasn't entirely wrong. That's what made him terrifying. Not because he lied, but because he told the truth that no one wanted to hear. The second lesson, morality is fragile. In The Dark Knight, the Joker never used brute strength. He used choice. He put people in impossible moral dilemmas, boats full of innocents, police officers turned into hostages, Harvey Dent corrupted from hero to villain. He didn't kill goodness. He tested it. He proved that even the purest soul can break when pushed hard enough. And that's why his words echo long after the movie ends. Madness is like gravity. All it takes is a little push. Ledger's Joker wasn't celebrating evil. He was exposing how easily good can fall apart. The third lesson, society creates its own monsters. Ledger's Joker didn't come from outer space or magic. He came from the cracks of society, a product of neglect, corruption, and hypocrisy. He represented the people who had nothing left to lose. And in his chaos, there was revenge. Not on individuals, but on the world that had turned its back on him. He reminded us that every time we ignore injustice or cruelty, we feed the kind of madness that eventually rises against us. The Joker wasn't born. He was made. The fourth lesson, we fear what we cannot control. Batman fought criminals who wanted money, power, or revenge, things he could understand. But how do you stop someone who just wants to watch the world burn? That was Ledger's brilliance. He made the Joker unpredictable. The Joker didn't want to win. He wanted to prove a point. And in doing so, he shattered the illusion of control we all cling to. He showed that even the most powerful heroes and the most stable societies are just one bad day away from collapse. We learned that chaos is always closer than we think. The fifth lesson, true power isn't fear, it's influence. Ledger's Joker never needed an army, a fortress, or a weapon. All he needed was belief, the belief that people could turn on each other. He turned the city of Gotham into his greatest weapon. He made people question their morality, their leaders, and even their heroes. He didn't conquer Gotham, he converted it. And that's a terrifying kind of power, because it doesn't end with one person. It spreads. The sixth lesson, madness and genius share the same edge. Heath Ledger's Joker wasn't mindless. He was intelligent, frighteningly so. He planned every detail, understood every weakness, and executed it with purpose. He taught us that insanity isn't always chaos. Sometimes it's clarity without empathy. And that's what made him unforgettable. Because beneath the clown makeup, we saw the sharp mind of someone who understood the world better than anyone else and decided it wasn't worth saving. But perhaps the most important lesson we learned from Heath Ledger's Joker is about the price of greatness. Ledger gave everything to bring that character to life. His time, his sleep, his peace of mind. He dove so deep into darkness that the line between performance and reality began to blur. And in the end, it cost him. His dedication reminds us of the thin line between brilliance and self-destruction. How far artists will go to tell the truth, even when it hurts them most. We learned that passion without balance can consume you, and that sometimes the greatest performances come from the deepest pain. Heath Ledger's Joker wasn't just a villain, he was a philosopher disguised as a madman. He showed us that chaos isn't random, it's honest. That morality isn't permanent, it's tested. And that sometimes the most frightening monsters are the ones who make us question ourselves. Every line, every laugh, every scar carried a message. A message that the world isn't as stable or as good as we like to believe. So what did we really learn from Heath Ledger's Joker? That evil doesn't always wear a mask. That truth can come from madness. And that one man, in one unforgettable role, can change how we see human nature forever. Heath Ledger's Joker wasn't here to destroy the world. He was here to show it to us. When Christopher Nolan announced that the young Australian actor from Brokeback Mountain would play Batman's most terrifying enemy, the world laughed. Fans said, "The pretty boy can't do it." But Ledger was never here to prove them wrong. He was here to make them forget there was ever anyone else. To prepare for the role, he locked himself in a hotel room for 6 weeks. No distractions, no contact, just a notebook filled with disturbing sketches, chaotic handwriting, and ramblings that captured the Joker's fractured mind. He explored madness, not through makeup or costumes, but through psychology. Ledger's Joker wasn't about jokes. He wasn't about fun. He was an idea, a force of chaos that believed in nothing but anarchy. He didn't just want to kill Batman, he wanted to corrupt him. And that's what made him terrifying, because deep down, his words made sense. "I'm an agent of chaos," he said, and the world believed him. Ledger reinvented the Joker. Gone was the clownish prankster of the past. In his place stood a scarred, smeared, unpredictable man, someone who felt real. Every movement, every lick of his lips, every twisted laugh. It wasn't improvised chaos. It was controlled madness. Ledger studied real-life criminals, anarchists, and even A Clockwork Orange to build something authentic. The voice, part growl, part sneer, was designed to sound like he didn't care if he lived or died. And when he looked into the camera, you could feel it. This wasn't just a villain. This was someone the world might actually fear. The hospital scene, completely improvised chaos. The explosives fail, Ledger smacks the detonator, and boom. It becomes one of cinema's most iconic moments. That's not just great acting, that's genius. Ledger wasn't trying to perform, he was trying to disappear. And he did. By the time the cameras rolled, there was no Heath, only the Joker. When The Dark Knight released, audiences sat in silence after his scenes. People weren't watching a comic book villain. They were watching a man unravel before their eyes. Critics called it haunting, electrifying, transcendent. Ledger's Joker became the heartbeat of the film, turning The Dark Knight into more than a superhero movie. It became a psychological masterpiece. But behind the brilliance was a man carrying the weight of his art. Ledger poured so much of himself into the Joker that it consumed him. He struggled to sleep, his mind trapped between genius and madness. And before the world could truly celebrate his performance, Heath Ledger was gone. A tragic end to a soul that gave everything to his craft. When he won the posthumous Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, the world didn't just applaud, it mourned. Because they weren't honoring just an actor, they were honoring an artist who gave a piece of his soul to cinema. Heath Ledger's Joker wasn't defined by makeup or costume or even dialogue. He was defined by truth, a truth about chaos, about society, about the thin line between sanity and madness. And that's why no one, not even the great actors who followed, could recreate his magic. Because Heath Ledger didn't play the Joker. He lived him. He understood that true evil doesn't need power. It needs belief. Ledger's Joker was horrifying, yet strangely captivating. He wasn't motivated by greed, revenge, or power. He wanted to prove that anyone could fall into madness. Critics were fascinated by how he made viewers understand a villain without ever justifying him. That's a rare achievement. He turned chaos into art and cruelty into something almost poetic. Every time you rewatch The Dark Knight, every time you hear that laugh echo through Gotham's streets, you realize the world may never see another performance like this. Heath Ledger's Joker wasn't just the best. He was the definitive Joker. A role so powerful, it transcended fiction and turned one man into a legend. The Dark Knight was already a great movie, but Ledger made it unforgettable. Every time he appeared, he dominated the screen. His energy forced every actor, even Christian Bale, to raise their game. Critics often said the movie's emotional depth came from Ledger's ability to make chaos philosophical. He wasn't just fighting Batman, he was challenging his morality. Ledger designed his own Joker voice, a gritty, fluctuating tone that sounded both playful and menacing. This is Heath Ledger's legacy. This is why he will forever be the greatest Joker of all time. If you believe Heath Ledger's Joker can never be matched, hit that like button, subscribe for more legendary stories, and remember, why so serious?